Tonight on the Black Channel, illegal aliens are no longer asking for unequal treatment. They're now demanding it in cold, hard cash. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, a story that I've been waiting here to review for a few days now. Folks, if you'll remember when I was warning you here about folks who sit up here and want to be apologists and try to smuggle in the illegal alien agenda on black folk here, and we've been telling you for the longest time that this doesn't end well. In this instance, no, it doesn't. It doesn't end well here because a lot of the folks have been advocating for these things. When you go to places like California and New York and whatnot, and if you don't have a driver's license, if you are driving without insurance, they will impound your car. But if illegals are driving without insurance, well, no autopsy, no foul. And they've been doing these things, and they've been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Is what they've been doing. And now, remember, they were pushing it before. They want driver's licenses. They want to be in the country. They're driving on the roads. Now they want health care. You go to the ER and got to wait 2 hours because they got to take care of all the illegals. And there they are standing there. Now they've taken it to a brand new level. It's been taken to a whole new level that I predicted and stated years ago that it would not be enough to just give them free health care, driver's licenses, school for the kids. It's no longer enough. About that college tuition, that's no longer enough. I always said they're going to have to give an alley-oop. Now, not only are they going to give money, they're not just allowed to make money. They're not asking. They're now demanding that what you went to school for and learned, you're going to have to take a back seat. They want to get this out the gap. They want to get this right out the gap. Story from Channel 11 News here. In New York City, a story that, quite frankly, you have to see to believe. Hang on to your Uber Eats. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
People think that this is an easy job, but it's not an easy job.
Standing shoulder to shoulder, fists raised in the air, New York's delivery workers have one goal: getting their companies to raise their minimum wage to $30 an hour.
They can do better for all people, especially for those people that are fighting every day. It's a good job and I like it, and I hope they can take a good decision for everybody.
Last year, City Council passed regulation of delivery apps like Grubhub and DoorDash, a step towards better working conditions and pay.
Yes, it's possible. Yes, we can.
But Los Deliveristas Unidos says the fight isn't over.
We have a lot of expenses. We want to cover all the expenses and get some money to support our families. Phone, bikes, repairs, meals, weather, every expenses for work. We cover all that from our package.
Grubhub told us in a statement in part that they are committed to their delivery partners and know that they are absolutely essential to New York City's businesses and communities and are regularly in contact with Los Deliveristas Unidos. DoorDash also sent us a statement saying in part that proposals that significantly increase the cost of delivery could have damaging effects on small businesses and that they will continue to work with policymakers on a reasonable approach to minimum earnings that supports Dashers. Los Deliveristas Unidos was first formed during the height of the pandemic. They say they continue to fight for things like higher pay, the right to use a bathroom on the job, and protective equipment.
All right, so there you have it. All of you nurses, all you LPNs, all you RNs, all you contractors. In New York, you all thought you was popping your collars when folk were talking about raising the city and state minimum wage to $15 an hour. And you remember I've been saying since day one, it's gonna have to be something more like twice that amount. You remember I said that from day one. You talk about minimum wage, it's gonna have to be twice that amount. Well, don't look now. Black folk might not have been listening, but the illegals were listening to me. I guess they said, damn, Senor Black, that sounds like a good idea. Okay, and away they went. And away they went. Now, what we're going to see here is to remind you, let's just keep it real. In New York City, these are illegals a lot of the time who are doing these deliveries for Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub. That's them. So now they're like, well, look, if we're in a sanctuary city, let's see how far we can push the damn thing. Let's see how far we can push it. I want you all to understand, they want this for delivering for Grubhub and Uber Eats. They want the same thing that doctors and carpenters, skilled laborers get for riding a bicycle, delivering for Uber Eats, delivering for Grubhub. No joke. They're literally saying we need to get $30 an hour for the exact same Uber Eats you getting right now. They don't want $15 an hour. They want $30. So if you're a paralegal, if you're an intern, if you work for UPS, if you're an auto mechanic, if you're a registered nurse, they want more than you get. You've been to school, you've trained, you had to work years to get where you are. They're like, oh no, when Governor Abbott and Governor Santos give us our free ride to New York, yeah, y'all can drop us off in New York. We want to get paid $30 an hour. $30 an hour. Let's be clear, when they talk about delivery workers, they're talking about the illegals running around for Uber Eats and Grubhub and whatnot. That's what they're talking about. I want to go over something else here real quick again. I want to go over this again. Here's why this story, literally when you come out the gate, this story is offense on top of offense on top of offense. Not a fence, offense as in offensive. I'm going to slow walk you through this.
People think that this is an easy job, but it's not an easy job.
Standing.
Si se puede. Okay. Not speaking English. Not speaking English at all. So this ain't about black people. This is not for black folk. Los Deliveristas Unidos. This is not black folk. Not at all.
Easy job.
Standing shoulder to shoulder, fists raised in the air.
Fists raised in the air. So now here we go. They are stealing the symbolisms that we created. They are stealing the symbolisms of people with a legitimate grievance. with the historical symbols of our legitimate grievances. They're now taking advantage of that. They're trying to steal our symbols, our gestures of legitimate grievances. When you're breaking the law by even being here. You are a lawless individual just being here. And you're going to steal our legitimate gestures of resistance against legitimate offenses, and what we use to fight legitimate grievances for your literally illegal campaign. If you all agree with me, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. I know that this is a little bit of a nuanced subject here tonight, but somebody needs to go ahead and talk about this because this is coming to a major city near you. If you agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down early tonight. If you don't like what you're hearing, fine. Let them come where you are. Because let me tell you something. The local wages ain't going to keep up with this. If you're a nurse and you think that they're going to start paying you $60 an hour, if you are a nurse and you think that your job is going to start paying you $60 an hour, you're out of your mind. They're not going to pay you that. They're not going to give you that. The illegals are trying to find a way to strong arm and muscle their way in on something that they feel like if they get together in enough numbers, they can make it happen. And if they use and exploit and shoplift, if they commit grand theft auto of our legitimate symbols, the fist in the air against fighting white supremacy, and you throwing a fist in the air you stolen from us? No, you don't have a right to use that. What you need to do is get some burglar tools. That fist needs to be filled with some burglar tools. So you can show what you're about. You're about breaking and entering, taking what you can get, however you can get it. You need to sit up here and show that gesture. In the chat room, you're right. They were saying Spanish for yes, we can. So Barack Obama sent a kite to his fellow travelers, and the immigrants are getting a whole lot more use out of him than we ever did.
It's not just easy job.
Standing shoulder to shoulder, fists raised in the air, New York's delivery workers have one goal, getting their companies to raise their minimum wage to $30.
Now, do you see what the shirts say there? Demands. Do you see that? It didn't say ask. It doesn't say ask. It doesn't say request. It says demands. You're not even legal to be standing on the soil. What the hell you demanding? I'm willing to bet you any amount of money most of these folks sitting here are not legal to even be standing on the soil. What are you demanding? Could you imagine a bunch of folk going down there to Mexico and talking about what we demand? So they're not asking. Their t-shirts literally say demands.
Getting their companies to raise their minimum wage to $30 an hour.
They can do better for all people, especially for those people that are fighting every day. It's a good job and I like it, and I hope they...
Okay, now I don't like this. So it's a bunch of Latinos, but then the news station cuts to something of a black man making deliveries of soda. They cut to a picture of a black man. However, in reality, this is what was really out there. This is Los Deliveristas Unidos. This is what was out there. But when they finish editing at the station, this is what they show. So I'm trying to put this in proper context to you all so that you understand what you're looking at here. This is the definition of propaganda. The Black Fist, they're showing all of these gestures and symbolisms. You got the Black Fist, and when they finish talking to her, they show a black man. So this is supposed to be a minority coalition. See, that's what the imagery is supposed to be. Minority coalition. Well, you see, it ain't just us. I'm looking at the crowd. It's just y'all. It's just y'all. We're legal. We can get that $30 an hour ourselves. We're legal. You trying to get a take. You're trying to get a take that you are not entitled to nor legally authorized to get. You're trying to get a take. And so the television station is doing its part to keep wrapping this illegal activity under the righteousness of the black struggle. They are sitting up here trying to camouflage this illegal activity in the gestures and under the righteousness of the black struggle, which is what always happens. LGBT, transsexuals, groomers trying to go after children. If they try to find some way to find the only people with a legitimate, long-standing grievance that still stands to this day. So half the time they're telling us that you can't do anything for black folk. You can't do nothing just for us because we're not owed anything. And then the rest of the time they're sitting up here using these suggestions and inferences and trying to wrap us up in it. These are two damn separate things. These are two separate things and they know it.
Are fighting every day. It's a good job and I like it, and I hope they can take a good decision for everybody.
Last year, City Council passed regulation of delivery apps like Grubhub and DoorDash, a step towards better working conditions and pay.
Yes, it's possible. Yes, we can.
But Los Deliveristas Unidos says the fight isn't over.
We have a lot of expenses. We want to cover all the expenses and get some money to support our families. Phone, bikes, repairs, meals, weather, every expenses for work. We cover all that from our package. Expenses for work, every weather, repairs, meals, phone, bikes, repairs, meals, weather, every expenses for work. We cover all that from our package.
Grubhub told.
I want to ask you all a question here in just a moment. I want to ask you a question.
Los Deliveristas Unidos was first formed during the height of the pandemic.
So they started getting together this scheme during the pandemic. You know why? Because when you allowed them to stay and violate the law with impunity, something you would never allow black folk to do, they said, hey, how do we work this damn thing? Now I want to remind you all of something. If it were black people bringing in a bunch of illegals, putting them to work illegally, they would call that human trafficking. If there was so much as one chick who was showing her ass on OnlyFans that you brought over here, they would call it human trafficking. If you brought them over here and put them to work illegally, they would call that human trafficking. That's what they would call it. If black folk were sitting up making hundreds of millions and billions of dollars and it was a whole damn industry, they'd have all of us on the damn ground in every state of the union. It would be called human trafficking. That's what it would be called. That's what they would be charging us with. That's what they would be doing. Now you got them here and they talking about give me $30 an hour for the exact same damn lame ass, bland ass, unseasoned food that I was delivering for you here last week. What do you mean? I need to obey. What do you mean? I'm here now. Let me go ahead and bum rush the door and work this thing as hard as I can while nobody's looking. Or now, while everybody's looking. They've been emboldened. They've been emboldened in ways you simply never see or hear with black folk. They've been emboldened. And this is New York City. Do you think that for those of you who live in New York, the teachers, the paralegals, the nurses, the legal delivery driver, do you think that your pay is going to go up against unpaid workers? Now you going to get $30 an hour. And it's not something that's going to happen necessarily, but they're pushing for it because they need it. They need it. And understand, they're going to make sure black folk don't have anything to do with it. So they're targeting areas where black folk are not represented and then saying, okay, let's go ahead and give them a leg up. First, they're going to sit up here and tell these folks, okay, you can have $30 an hour. This is the first step to unionizing. So they're going to claim to be members of a union, and then they're going to try to treat it like pipe trades or something. And, oh, you have to get us to approve you to join. But this is what they're saying. Mark my words. They're going to try to find a way to put up an economic barrier and a legal barrier so that their people get in, and then they leave everybody else out. Fresh across the border. Illegal as hell. Not supposed to be here. New York City. Eric Adams, sanctuary city. To anybody who was saying that you were such an idiot and a fool to sit up and talk about a sanctuary city is no big deal. Let's go ahead and say what the damn truth is. You were sitting up here saying, well, hell, if they bringing over the illegals, long as I can get my interracial sexual access, I don't give a damn how they got here. Well, here's where the damn other shoe drops. Here's where the other shoe drops. Let me ask y'all a question. You're not going to like it. Let me ask you a question. How much do you think the average wage is for black folk in New York City? How much do you think that the average pay is for black people in New York City, or the average income for black people in New York City? How much do you think that is? I want you to think about that for a few moments there, because that's an important question. That's an important question because it may start to open your eyes to a few things. Might open your eyes to a few things. Tell me what you think that might be. Most folks here are saying $15 to $25 an hour. And I want you to think that over for a moment. I want you to think that over for a moment when you're looking at something that huge. When you're looking at something that huge. I want to read for you a story from August 2020. From nycfuture.org, August 2020. Stark disparities in employment and wages for black New Yorkers. I'm going to skip down where it says black New Yorkers account for just 7% of the workforce in advertising, 7% in the securities industry, 8% in publishing, 9% in computer systems design, 9% in motion pictures and video, 13% in legal services, and 16% in construction. Even though black New Yorkers make up 21% of the overall workforce and 22% of the city's population. Black New Yorkers are also underrepresented in many industries, with a significant number of accessible middle-wage jobs comprising just 10% of all workers in dental offices, 12% in doctors' offices, and 14% in food manufacturing and others. Well, it shouldn't be any surprise. Let me tell you right now, if anybody who's been to New York City, they got some of the grimiest, sleaziest doctors you ever seen. I mean, these dudes are, I don't know what the hell these qualifications are to be in the medical profession in New York City, but these are some of the grimiest, sleaziest dudes you ever met. Every day at the job, it's about playing grab ass with the nurses. New York City is on a whole different level. New York City is about playing grab ass with the nurses. My folks in New York City know it's true. The rest of the country, you think you got that going on at your hospitals. Man, look here, Columbia, Presbyterian, New York, all of them. Man, it's about playing grab ass with the nurses. So at the dentist's office and stuff, hey, if you're not a female dental assistant that the dentist or a nursing assistant the doctor can lay up with, you probably ain't gonna he's probably not gonna be too interested. He's gonna take you if he got to. So yes, they prefer them young and compliant. I know about the nursing profession, the medical profession, the dental profession in New York City. They like them young and compliant. And let me tell you another thing. When you up against the illegals or the children of the illegals, them DACA kids and whatnot, man, it's a damn free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and hurt your damn feelings. I'm going to open up the phone lines in a few minutes, and I want my black folk from New York City to call me up and tell me if what I just said is a lie. Tell me if what I just said is a lie. I'm not going to talk about the schools or academia. I'm not going to talk about in the public schools how the principals be getting down. How the principals be getting down on the DACA teachers. I'm not going to say nothing about that. I'll just stick strictly to the medical profession. Y'all know damn well them doctors be flexing on them up there. I mean, that's like a thing. In New York City, that's a thing. And everybody knows it. You talk about an open secret. In New York City, in the medical profession, in the dental field, that's a thing. That's just a thing. If you have a doctor's office and whatnot, it's going to be some young, pretty little chick coming from behind the damn desk. That's a thing. In New York, to a lesser degree in Florida, I'm just saying, to a lesser degree in DC and Texas and California, they ain't got nothing on New York. They don't have nothing on New York. And I'm not even talking about in Manhattan. I'm talking about Long Island, Staten Island. Y'all know the damn deal. Y'all know the damn deal. Now, check it out now. I want to read a little bit more from the story here. It says, in addition to these workforce disparities, this analysis finds significant income disparities between white and black workers in nearly every industry. This is in New York City now, not just high-paying fields. For example, the median annual income for black New Yorkers employed in the city's department stores is barely 1/3 of that of their white counterparts. $15,870 versus $44,674 for the white folk. So $15,870 for black retail workers in department stores, $44,000 for the white ones. Black postal workers earn $41.26 compared to $59.27 earned by white colleagues. So the illegals in New York want to get paid almost as much as the postal workers. They go on to say there are similar large pay disparities between black and white New Yorkers in the warehousing and storage industry. Black folk get $25,616 versus white folk getting $47,000. This was when they started this during the pandemic back in 2020. Sporting goods. Black folk get $18,443 versus $32,000 for white folk. Remember, white can include Latinos, remember? Beauty salons. Black folk get $10,474 versus $25,000 for white folk. Newspaper publishing, in the newspaper publishing industry, $30,000 for black folks, $79,000 for white folk. The film and TV sector, $29,000 for black people, $61,000 for white folk. In banking, $52,000 for black people, That's the median income for black folk in New York is $52,000 in the banking industry versus $123,000 for white folk. So you see, if you're going to bring in the illegals and make them an overclass of black people, you can't give them minimum wage. You can't give them the new adjusted minimum wage, $15 an hour. You can't give them that. You've got to leapfrog them over black people. They got to get leapfrogged over black people. That's not a joke. They're letting you know right now when Joe Biden says we can let in another 2 million, they ain't gonna hurt nothing. He's letting you know what you gotta do. He's telling you that what I told you years ago was completely accurate, that what they've done so far isn't enough. They're gonna have to give them a whole lot more help. Free schooling, free healthcare, free education, free room and board. They got to get everything while you're being told what you can't have. You got to be told what you can't have. It's not accidental. It's a full court press. It's a full court press. And the media is in full propaganda mode. They know what they're doing. They're making the case, at the very least, to start saying that illegals should be getting more than minimum wage just for being here. That they are exempt from the laws. Now, your black ass is not, but they are exempt. Now, I know this is a story that you haven't heard anywhere else, and folks aren't talking about that, but this is real. And this is serious. And this needs to be paid attention to. Because when they do things like this is how you set up for the future. You set up for the future with this. Black folk trying to get $15, $20, $25 an hour, and the illegals can ride a damn bicycle and be getting $30 an hour. Notice what they said there too. They're not even talking about for their deliveries and stuff. They're like, hey, we should be getting $30 an hour to begin with. That's it. You ain't gonna treat us like them black folk. We gonna get even more than that. However, maybe you disagree. So I'm going to open up the telephone lines, and you'll be given an opportunity to go ahead and weigh in on that yourselves. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. So Terrell Black, Burn Rubber, my man Keith. Thank you to everybody here who supported the program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we have your phone calls. This is the Black Channel.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us "Need Software" to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
Hey, I'm Marcus. For a while, I walked around with this empty feeling inside. I had a full-time job, but not in the field I wanted to be in. But then I came across this book where it was like, the title was just for me. Guide to Being Black in IT. I read the book and the author took me through scenarios and gave me tips. I sat down and read it and it only took an hour. After I got done, I took advice in the book, practiced in the labs, and got certified. Then I literally got up and applied for a position with the company I've been looking at for a while and got the job. Thanks to that book, I worked my job with confidence. If you're looking to get into IT or even in the field, now this is a must-read book. Go to www.beingblackinit.com.
I am black first. I am empowered. I am on code. I am motivated. I am a proud foundational. My name is Noria Sellers, and nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Order today at Amazon and Google Play. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Join 6zeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog. Don't you sign up, post. I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private? Just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at 6zeros.net. Black owned, black operated.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening as we are discussing the illegals, New York City. They're now demanding that to deliver for Uber Eats, Grubhub, and whatnot, they want to get $30 minimum wage. A $30 minimum wage. Now, let me tell you all something. If you think, if this is approved, if this actually happens, if they're able to muscle the companies to give them this, if they're able to get the city council or whatever to get these companies to give them this, do you think it's gonna stop here? Oh, hell no. Let me tell you, in a year or two, they're going to be back telling you they need $35 an hour and then $40 an hour. No joke. If you think they're going to stop, once you allow them to leapfrog everybody else, you already allowed them to leapfrog the immigration line. You allowed them to break the law. You told them it's a free-for-all. They've already ignored the law and leapfrogged everybody else when it comes to being here legally, obeying the immigration laws. You think if you give them this, they're going to let that go? They're going to just say, okay, great, I got $30, bye. Hell no. They're going to be back very soon thereafter. They're going to be back very soon thereafter. Understand that. They're going to be They're going to be back very soon and telling you need to give them more. They're going to be back very, very soon. And it's not going to stop here. Just understand you're going to have others trying to sit up here and pile on with it. You're going to have others doing that. But enough from me. I want to go ahead and open up the telephone lines. And for my people who live in New York City and specifically in the medical profession, I want my folks from New York City tonight. I'm putting out a call. I want New York City to call me up tonight and drop the game on exactly how much black folk are getting paid, what's happening up in these hospitals, how these illegals are getting paid now, and do they really need $30 an hour? So they need to leapfrog everybody else and get $30 an hour? Really? I want you to give me a holler about that. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let's take a few phone calls here. Let me get caller from area code 646. That's New York. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TBA Anthony from Queens, New York.
Anthony from Queens, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so I'm not in the medical profession, but I do live in New York City. I want to touch on what you said about the grimy doctors. Like, it's so bad up here that they have episodes on Law and Order Criminal Intent talking about how bad these doctors are in terms of, like, having hoes in different area codes. I think one episode had him as a serial killer or something like that. So it's pretty bad up here in terms of that. In terms of like the salaries and things, I really can't talk to that either. I kind of make $150 a year. I'm a consultant working at Ernst & Young. So, but I also want to talk about like another endemic that we have here, that a lot of these things are getting done because we as the people up here, like you said, New York is finished because an endemic of interracial sexual access is prevalent up here. The second we get some Latin looking at us, or we get some of that Latin cooch or whatever, we start wanting to talk Spanish, wanting to invite them to the barbecue and whatnot. They're building power, and we're out here looking for sex. And that's why they're crushing us up here.
Well, you know, a large portion of your New York population up there now is immigrants, even among black folk. So when you see guys like 50 Cent and G Unit sitting up here talking about they all got Latina baby mamas or they love chasing Latina chicks, you know, take a look at where that culture, that mindset is coming from. However, that's the one side. But on the other side, yeah, I mean, there's no agenda to it. And this is the cost of it. Brother Neely Fuller been trying to teach us now for decades. Black folk get into bed with non-black people and hop out confused. And this is the cost of confusion. Because the folk you hopping out of bed with, they're not confused. They're not the least bit confused about why they're here, what their goal is, and what they're trying to accomplish. You sitting up here starry-eyed, and meanwhile, they're not confused. And when you see these rallies and protests and get-togethers now, they're showing you not a black face in the place. Let me show it to y'all again. Not a black face in the place. Not a black face in the place talking in Spanish. By the way, I don't hear anybody saying that we need a black and brown coalition. I don't see these folks saying, where are our black allies? We can't get this done if we don't have black folk with us. Now, the news station is using trick photography, but you notice the folks on the ground are not talking that way. You don't see any of that. This is basically the National Council of La Raza. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now let me get caller Miracle 609. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Emmanuel, Pleasantville, New Jersey.
All right, Emmanuel, what's on your mind?
I enjoy everything that you say. I enjoy your personality and how you're condescending towards these ignorant people. But the thing that I want to say is just like, why don't we have a clear goal of what we want to do to make these people be held accountable? Like, I don't see these people as being the dominant society, because it's just like, if you're using violence and ignorance to sit there and dominate the people, how are you actually like superior?
Okay, that's playing semantics. Somebody is superior to you if they can do things to you that you cannot do to them. Now that's physics. That's math. Somebody is superior to you if they can do things you cannot do to them. Here's the other problem. I was watching Tariq was on Rock Newman's program, and Rock Newman was saying something you hear from a lot of these folks, especially some of the older folks here. They kind of gotten on the line of saying, I don't like to use the term white supremacy because they ain't supreme. Here's the problem. Number one, you can't prove that they're not. But number two, if you deny white supremacy as being supremacy, if you deny white dominance, if you say that that doesn't exist, then what you've just said is that you don't have black people don't have a grievance. Now, I don't know if you're black or not, but if you are, you're refuting the idea that we have a grievance.
I'm from one of those group of people that you don't like. It's just like I'm a Haitian, and honestly, it's just like
okay, slow down. Whoa, hey. We're not gonna even start that. I don't have an issue with Haitian people, sir. Not at all. So that's a lie to say something like that. I know you don't, sir,
because it's just like you always big up the ancestors. And honestly, sir, it's just like the only way they're superior to us is the fact that they use us against us. And we have people.
Sir, it's a numerical fact. You can't tell me one aspect of your life where you have an advantage over them. Name one.
Intelligence.
Okay, sir, it's only an advantage if you're exercising power. So you use your intelligence to exercise power over what group of white folk?
Sir, I can use their ideas against them.
No, I didn't say can, sir. Tell me where you are using your intelligence to exercise power and authority over them.
The judicial system, sir. I've sued multiple people. And the only thing that I see that's wrong with the law system,
sir, is the only way that you could be, what you're telling me is that you've got more control of the white court system than white people do?
No, sir, I do not.
So you're saying that you've got more of an advantage in the white system. You're saying you have more of an advantage in the white court system than white people do?
No, sir.
Okay, then you don't. Then they're superior.
The law. I understand that we can't use the law against them because you have.
Okay, sir. This is babble. You don't have any part or avenue of your life where you have any advantage or superiority over white folk. Nothing. You can't name a single thing that you can do to them that they are not allowed to do to you.
Sir, they let me sue them.
Sir, tell me what.
They let me sue them.
Sir, tell me one thing in this world that you're able to do to white folk that they are not allowed to do to you.
I'm allowed to sue them if I actually can sit there and manipulate their system.
Sir, I said name something that you can do to white folk that they are not allowed to do to you.
They haven't sued me yet, and everything that they've been
Okay, sir,
doing,
but that's got nothing to do with what they're allowed. That's got nothing to do with what they're allowed to do. You're talking about a public defender. So this guy's talking about traffic tickets. Sir, get off the bottle.
No, not traffic tickets.
Go back to sleep. Yeah. Tether babble. I mean, just really. Yeah. Where's your advantage? Well, I can sue them. What do you mean sue? Well, they was trying to evict me, and so I took them to court, and I was able to stall the eviction. Okay, sir, that's not what we're talking about. Tell me something that you can do to them they can't do to you. I can sue them. Okay, bro, was that the only phrase you were taught in your English speaking class? That was the only phrase you were taught? It's gotten old. That's the only thing you say. I can sue them. This dude talking like he's Johnny Cochran. He's talking like he pulling down millions of dollars. Ladies, if you think that doing drugs while you're pregnant is harmless, to the Haitian chicks who came up from Del Rio, Texas, if you think doing drugs and getting drunk and malnutrition is harmless to your kids, that guy on the phone, you might want to pay some attention. Call from area code 910. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Malcolm from Fairfield, North Carolina.
Okay, and what's your name again?
Malcolm from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
All right, Malcolm from Fayetteville, what's on your mind?
Yeah. I wanted to say this last time. I think it was the week before last when you were talking about the illegals. But back in, I think it was either 2018 or 2019, they were talking about giving illegals license, like regular driver's license. And I thought that was like weird. Like, why you want to give them a driver's license? And then pretty soon in 2020, they were talking about giving illegals voting rights. And now it's one thing after another. And this all happened in New York, by the way, when they came up with that article about allowing illegals to drive and whatnot. And when I first saw that and I brought that up as, yo, this is not right, I was talking to my friend, two lady friends of mine about that. They didn't seem to care. Now, these were black women. They didn't seem to care. They're just getting a driver's license. There's nothing wrong with that. But then the voting rights issue came back in New York about giving them voting rights. And now you have this. And just like you said, they're forming their own coalition or group that could probably unionize if this occurs, if they get Uber to give them what they want. And like you said, it's just one thing after another. And at the time when I told them that, they didn't see an issue with it.
Because if you don't, they don't have advantages. The economy has moved on. Things are more expensive. So what they're doing is they're updating the formula to continue to give them advantages. Things that don't even come up in conversation for black folk. This begs the obvious question. If a person's in the country illegally, how in the hell can they drive, period? Why do you need a driver's license at all? Why do you need one, period, if you're here if you can be in the country and driving illegally? Hell, if you can be in the country illegally, why do you need a driver's license at all? And if they don't show ID, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if they don't have any ID on them? Are you allowed to arrest them, deport them? What do you do if they don't have any ID? Now, you'll notice the two major places where you see this occurring are the two places in America where black folk made some of their biggest strides and made some of their biggest stands: New York and California. So in Los Angeles, and I talked about this years ago, how the sheriff there outright said, we're not going to be taking cars from illegals if they don't have proof of insurance because they need their cars. Sir, everybody needs their damn cars. Everybody needs their cars.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Black folk working don't have less of a need than non-citizens, but they were letting you know, okay, they are protected because in order for us to put them as a overclass over you, they have to be protected. Otherwise, there's nothing here that allows them to stay. You see, you've got all the laws you need to get rid of them tomorrow. You can get rid of them tomorrow. All the laws are already in place. What they're doing now is putting things in place to override the laws. But they're only overriding them for other people, not for you. See, that's that white supremacy that the previous caller was oblivious to. Where literally you have a law in California that says if you don't have insurance on a car, your car is supposed to be impounded and towed. And they said, yeah, we're not going to do that for the Latinos. We're not going to do that for the illegals. We're not doing that for them. Now, you black folk, we're going to do it for you, but not for them.
Just in the case of like felonies and misdemeanors, most black people get hit with felonies for same crimes as white people get hit with misdemeanors. This is no different. This is just they're putting it in place before it gets to that, so they can set that up.
So just notice why you're seeing that in New York and California. This is about installing these other people as a de facto white overclass over us. They're a buffer class. They're bringing in as many as possible and then giving them as many benefits as possible to solidify their socioeconomic position so that they can join with the dominant society. This is about making sure that they're as good as they can be. This is why in California with that Nuri, what's her face, on the LA council, the LA City Council.
Nuri Martinez
and LaSalle and whatever the names are, the other two that still haven't stepped down yet. There's a reason why after all these decades, why do you think they've been protected? They've been protected so that when they get in position, they adopt the white supremacist mantra. They adopt the white supremacist ideology if they didn't already have it. So yes, this is showing you the plan is working. The plan's working. They might be bilingual, but they are ideologically white supremacists. They adhere to all the tenets. They see your black ass. So whereas the white population has reached equilibrium and their numbers have stabilized, you have a situation now where they're just bringing these other folks here to go ahead and bolster those numbers some more, because black people's numbers are growing, our black people's numbers are growing, and these other folks' numbers aren't really exploding. It's that you're allowing in a bunch of you're emptying out Mexico and South America and saying, look, we need backup up here. So essentially, this is the 21st Century Homestead Act. I probably should have called it that before. I'm going to go into detail later. This is the 21st Century Homestead Act. Originally, they said to all the Irish and Italian and anybody white wants to come over here, we'll give you land, we'll give you a few dollars, and so you can set up and join with the greater economy. And some of them had differences and rivalries between them. You see movies like Gangs of New York. Folk today would consider events of like Gangs of New York to be silly today. Catholics and Protestants killing each other in damn streets. Are you kidding? What's the first thing they're going to say today? We're white people. You see, if you told them to start fighting each other in the streets today, they're not going to fight over religion. They'd be like, "What? That doesn't matter. We're white people." That's the difference. Well, you're seeing the 21st century version of it. You're seeing the 21st century version of it now. You're bringing these other folks over here, and a lot of white folk are going to have to bite hard. They're going to have to grit their teeth and bite hard on this one, but they're going to be told, well, look, the alternative is Atlanta. That's what they tell them. The alternative is DC. The alternative is Detroit. The alternative is Gary, Indiana. The alternative is Houston. The alternative is New Orleans. In other words, code speak for the alternative is a city where black people are responsible for government, where black people have a say in the political agenda. That's the alternative. And we have much more in common with these genetically white people from Mexico and South America. We all come from Europe. We all speak European languages. We all have European religions. Hell, we all got similar names. We got a lot more in common genetically, geographically, ethnically, historically with each other than we do with these Negroes. Already got the Asians on board. Already got them on board. They're already there. From LA to Harlem, they're already on board. So now we got black folks surrounded, and all we got to do is stick together. Now, of course, you need to let us Anglos run things. Now, of course, you must allow the Anglos to run things. When you go into upstate New York, you have to allow the Jews to run things. So you allow the white folk to run it. You allow it, but don't worry, we'll give you a city council seat and this, that, and the other. You gotta let us run it. You have to let us run it. For a little bit, don't worry, we'll eventually bring you in. And then they grab one of them, make a puppet out of them, and then they sit up here and have to overcompensate to show them, don't worry, I might be Latino, but I'm 10 toes down for the agenda. And the result of what happens to us is predictable. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 623. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My brother Jason Black. This is Terrell Black calling out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Terrell out of Phoenix. What's on your mind?
Man, you said something that I was gonna say my damn self, because I'm out here in Arizona and the Hispanics out here are very, very deep, and you see them every day with big ass, flashy ass cars and all that shit. And they don't have a driver license. And I'm like, how can, you could come over here, you could afford a vehicle like that, but you can't even have a driver license, proper documentation. And I go to school for automotive at my school. It's a lot of Hispanics up there as well. And when I have conversations with some of them, a lot of them say they got free tuition and everything, to go to the school because their parents, because of the child of immigrants. And I'm like,
yeah, you
something?
sitting up here trying to fight with Joe Biden over student loan forgiveness, and they don't even have any debts.
Right, exactly. They don't even have to pay anything back. And a lot of places out here in Phoenix and Glendale and Levine, Avondale, certain areas out here, they are excessively deep, and they in charge of everything. Everywhere you go, in the houses, apartments, any type of restaurants, and just all type of establishments out here. You go up in there, and it's almost like you need to know a little bit of Spanish as well. You'll call car companies, whoever. You'll call whoever. You get to the voice message, and they speaking all the way in Spanish. And
yeah, I mean, answering the phone. They're not just speaking in Spanish. They're answering the phone in Spanish. It isn't even press 2 for Spanish. Absolutely. They're answering the phone. Hablo. Oh, here we go.
Absolutely. And I was in the MVD 2 days ago to get an ID replacement myself. And when I was in there, man, I seen Asian families. I seen Indian families. I seen so many immigrants in there. It's like they just bypassing us. They just trying to clear us out. They're trying to replace us, and they gonna continue doing it.
No, understand something. But this is also part of the legacy of Senator John McCain. Your Republican Senator John McCain, who voted against Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. getting a holiday the first time around, who supported the Confederate flag the first time he ran for president, until he came back again and decided not to. Just understand, Senator John McCain, if you all remember, he was sitting there, biggest proponent of letting illegals over. Well, they'll do jobs that Americans won't do. He was a huge proponent. Senator John McCain was basically open borders, a sitting United States senator in a border state. And it's like, hey, let him in. Let them in.
And they walk with their nose up, like stiff in the air. And they really act like they better than black folks out here. But I will say this: black folks like myself, black folks like my siblings, we don't play that shit, and we will make an example out of any of them at any time in public. And that's all I want to say, my brother. Thank you for your work. B1 all day.
Black First, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Von Black here from Brooklyn.
Von Black from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, first, it's amazing how you call this game straight down the middle. And as far as the Uber thing goes, I don't know if that's going to fly because these restaurants here in the city are still recovering.
Well, they're going after the idea that they're operating under is essentially they're going to go after the corporate, the company itself. So what they're saying is this is something that the company needs to pay. So like Uber with Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, they're saying that. Now, to the extent that those companies may pass that on or try to pass that on to the restaurants, that would be the next thing. The real thing is I understand what you're trying to say, which is that would become untenable. The whole reason that this works, the only reason that this can even be allowed to exist is because it doesn't significantly raise the costs. If you significantly raise the costs, see, that's where these folks ain't thinking. Where they come from is like, oh, well, everybody's rich up there. If you significantly raise the cost, people are going to stop using it. That's what's going to happen. But they haven't thought that far ahead. Let me tell you something right now. $30 an hour, it's really more worth it to these companies to say, you know what? We weren't investigating drones before, but it might be easier for us to start investing in that. When they start looking at their 4-year, 5-year, and 7-year expenditures, then they might start saying, yeah, it might be easier to just go ahead and do that instead.
Well, anyway, brother, you've been head on. After tonight, well, I was following you guys anyway. But after tonight, I'm never missing a broadcast because you call this thing, you said it some months ago that it was over for foundationals here in New York City, and it is. I've seen that years ago. But everything you said, you've been straight down the middle. You hand the ball off to the running back. He went straight up the guts. And thank you for your work, brother. Keep it going, man. I'm with you, man.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Daryl from Chicago.
Okay, Daryl, you called in last night here, so give us a call back next weekend. One call per weekend. Let me get caller from area code 360. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Richard Maluku. I'm calling from Washington, a place called Bellingham.
All right, Richard from Bellingham, what's on your mind? Now,
let
me find it here,
Richard.
Richard.
Now you forget to talk about other states that are adjacent to California. States like Oregon and Washington. Here in Washington, we have a lot of them. They are running the medical facilities, CNAs, and RNs, plenty over here. And they talk to you whenever and however they want to. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's bad. It's bad. It's really bad.
Well, like I say, I mean, I've been up to Washington and whatnot, and the Asian presence up there is super heavy. I mean, you go to Seattle Airport, and literally 80% of the cars are Asian folk hopping in or hopping out. So, I mean, that's been that way. The medical industry, of course, is going to reflect that. So it's a lot. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's not happening anywhere else. It's happening in a lot of places, but you ain't got nobody sitting up saying, by the way, give us $30 an hour now.
In picking up like raspberry, blueberries here in Washington, the Mexicans are just saying like, hey, if you're not paying us $27, $28 an hour, we ain't working. And these white folks are paying them. It's happening right now. Some of us, yes, we came from Africa, we are legal, but they're taking in jobs, driving without licenses. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen that here in Bellingham, Linden, you know, a place called Mount Vernon. They're there. There are plenty of them working. They have taken over even the construction businesses, you know. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, they cut their teeth in New York, they cut their teeth in California, and now they're taking the show on the road up north. Whatever happens to California eventually ends up happening in Oregon and Washington. For some crazy reason, Washington wants to be the bastard stepchild imitating California for some crazy reason. Can't understand why. Where are you people from originally?
I'm from Kenya, Nairobi.
Okay. Kenya, Nairobi in the house.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 901. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This Red out of Memphis.
Red out of Memphis. What's on your mind? Turn off your speakers, sir.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me?
What's on your mind?
I don't like the way you come in at Kanye. This man worth over $7 billion. And I don't want to, well, fuck it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. The people that speak on him don't even have a fraction.
Caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Melissa out of Brooklyn.
Melissa out of Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I do work in healthcare, and I will say the situation is pretty bad in New York City. It's been bad for a while, but now it's just reached critical levels. In the hospitals, I would say that whites do make up the higher level positions, like medical director, C-suite level positions, but the physicians, a lot of them are Asian. either East Asian or Southeast Asian. And then a lot of the nurses at different levels, like CNA, LPN, RN, MP, they tend to be Black women, but mainly Caribbean and African women. But I have seen it firsthand where you do have these so-called quote unquote brown people. They will try to go after Black workers, try to get them fired, make up anything about them, and whatnot. And then too, another thing that's been going on is we just had the district. They redrew the city council lines, right? So what happened in LA, we're like well, I know a lot of the younger Black folks in New York City were watching like what's going on in LA because they tried to do this with a few of the Black neighborhoods or the remaining Black neighborhoods in Brooklyn, and they tried to redistrict them. So I went on the districting commission's website, and apparently it's pretty much over for Black New Yorkers because they said over 600. New York City grew over by 600,000 people, and about a little bit over 50% of that are Asians, and 20-something% are Hispanics. And New York City lost about roughly 4,000 white people and over 80,000 Black people. So it's pretty much a wrap. And this is coming
here's
from
the thing. Now, I know, I did the documentary on gentrification here. And like I know, particularly with the brownstones up there in New York, all the older Black folk who got their brownstones in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think Lena Horne's is up for sale. There's been a bunch of now their kids don't have the money or the interest in retaining them. If you don't maintain your economic foundation or maintain an economy for yourself, then you just find yourself getting priced out. Or the kids live out of state because they couldn't stay there. Or now it's, God forbid, the grandkids. So they hear you got some property in New York and there's some developers talking about we'll pay you $2 million. They think that's real damn money. Or you've got older Black folk who are retirees. And as you know, the real estate agents up there are super heavy about telling them, hey, if you sell your brownstone for a couple $1 million, you can go relocate to the Carolinas and buy a property there for a third of the value, third of the price, and you'll be straight. They're real big for selling that idea to Black folk in New York. Real big. So you got all these folk from New York moving down to Atlanta, down to Georgia and the Carolinas, and there's a reason why you're seeing that huge influx of them.
Right, and you're absolutely right with that. And I seen that firsthand. I do blame the older generation for that. They really just were about themselves, living up their lives, getting their pensions, their Social Security, but they didn't really teach the younger generations how to maintain that. So when they get to their retirement years, like the brownstones, they just sell it and they go off. And meanwhile, their children and grandchildren, who are probably most likely under the age of 40, they're just struggling right now. They went to school. They did everything that these parents told them to do. They went to college, racked up an exorbitant amount of debt. And you see, like the younger generation, they can't financially sustain anything at this point. And you do have a lot of them going back to move in with their parents and grandparents because they just can't keep up financially. And meanwhile, you do have a lot of, I know for a fact for the remaining Black neighborhoods in New York City, you do have a lot of Latino businesses like supermarkets, grocery stores opening shop in Black neighborhoods. And they not only Black neighborhoods, they open it up in Soho, Red Hook, and recently gentrified neighborhoods. So you do have a lot of younger Blacks in New York City questioning this, like, okay, you have the mainstream media talking about this black and brown, but you could hardly count on one finger. I mean, no, I'm sorry, not one finger, one hand, the amount of Black grocery stores or supermarkets. But meanwhile, you have these Latino, Hispanic supermarkets, grocery stores opening up all over, especially in the Black neighborhoods. So a lot of the younger Blacks are taking note of this, and they are listening to your message, that of Tariq Nasheed and others, especially Claude Anderson. They're like, wait a second, there is something going on here. This is not right. You do have a group of smarter Black politicians at the local level that they're trying to
but
correct
here's
this. Like,
the issue.
It's
As
not enough,
Dr. Claude
unfortunately.
Anderson taught us that politicians are powerless. They respond to the economy beneath them. So here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your community and society is going to reflect what you came for. And if you came to party and BS and hang out and get lit and get crunk, well, your results are going to show that. Meanwhile, you're up against a group of hungry individuals, literally came from south of the border, and they trying to get something. That they getting lit as a secondary priority. They're trying to establish a concrete economic stranglehold as a primary priority.
Right.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Bobby. I'm calling from Chicago.
Robbie from Chicago. What's on your mind?
I remember this. Yes, I remember in the 90s. I had my wisdom tooth pulled, so I had to call my insurance to find out, what doctor is close to my area. Dentist. So I went to this dentist, Black dentist. He had over 85% Hispanic women working for him, but his patient was over 95%, and I didn't get that. And I was like, he got Black clientele, but he got more Hispanic women working for him. And then that same doctor, he wanted to buy a house from this Italian guy. The Italian guy refused to sell him the house because he was Black. You could Google that. That happened. And I was so happy it happened. I was like, he got all these Hispanic women working for him, but hardly no Black women, like one or two Black women. And I was like, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, that shows you what the priority is. That's what I'm telling folks. That kind of stuff is a thing. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 319. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Adonis from Des Moines.
Adonis from Des Moines. What's on your mind?
I just want to make a quick observation. What I see going on, like in California, I think that's, or I know that's being implemented on a national scale. And I think it goes back to what you always tell us is to, there is no right wing or left wing. There's only kind of the bird, because the further out you go on the left or the right, like it comes back in a circle on the common hatred, and that's Black hatred. You know what I mean? I think that it's scary to see that, they have control over the medical fields, over the food fields with these immigrants, over the money. I feel like we as a people, we're getting encircled, and we need to really keep an eye out on that, because one thing that I did hear is about all these free IDs and everything. I think what's the one thing that's always used against Black people, when it comes time to vote, what I think the right hand's next move is going to be voter ID laws. You know what I mean? All these Hispanics are going to have IDs, So, but that's just an observation that I wanted to make. Not sure if I'm 100% right with that one, but I just wanted to say it.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, and hopefully get that smoke detector battery taken care of there. Who wants to contribute to Adonis battery fund? We're going to see if we can hook him up. Let me get caller area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, big brother Jason. This is brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York.
Elijah out of Brooklyn, what's on your mind?
Jason, big brother, I'm gonna try to articulate it as clear as possible. So if there's any discrepancies, pardon me. I got two questions. With this stuff going on with the illegals demanding $30 an hour, if they are granted that money, what do you think, or what do you know will be the end result for the Black New Yorker here, or anywhere for that matter? That's the first question.
Okay, I'm not understanding exactly what you mean.
No, I'm talking about, like, if they get that, what I mean by that, like, are we gonna
Okay,
to
brother
articulate it.
Elijah, it sounds like you are making mad, freaky, sweaty, hairy gumbo love to your phone. Do we need to call back later?
I'm sorry about that. No, brother. I'm sorry about that. No, brother. I'm sorry about that. No, I was asking, like, basically, do you think is that gonna set a tempo, or that's gonna push us back as Black Americans? That's what I meant, big brother.
Well, yes, I mean, that's exactly what it's intended to do. Like I explained, this is to give them an economic leg up so they can solidify their economic position. They need help. They can't do this on their own. The government's got to step in. It's got to be government policy that gives them preferential treatment. Otherwise, this will fail. If they have to do this on their own, it will fail. It won't work. So yeah, they got to have help for this. So that's exactly the whole point of it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get call mirror code 831. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, they've been abducted. Call them area code 850. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Big from Pensacola, Florida. I want you to think about one thing.
All right, brother. Your Nextel flip phone has got some bad reception. Try that again. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is D from Pensacola, Florida.
All right, D from Pensacola. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I want you to understand that history repeats itself. Remember one thing, slavery started in Spain. And what we don't realize is that this is a plot that's been going on for a long time. And what you got to realize that this happened before in Spain. That's where slavery started. So if you notice, the Spanish culture has the worst caste system when it comes to Black people. And we've been so stupid a lot of us been dealing with them, get involved in drugs and different things like that, and they will collaborate with the enemy for our own destruction. And when you see them, they're going to gentrify us out of wherever we're from, because that's what happened in Spain. I want you to think about that.
Well, thank you very much. We'll think about it. Let me get call of mirror code 434. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 434 has been abducted. Caller from area code 646, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 646 just took themselves out. Caller from area code 917, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Ben from New York.
Okay. Try again. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Ben from New York.
Ben from New York. What's on your mind?
Jason, brother Jason, you saying, boy, what you saying is the truth. I'm telling you. One time I didn't see it this way, but you just want to get a coalition, and other people don't feel that way about Blacks. I see. It's so true. We really on our own. Problem is that you try to vote, and it's all the same thing. Vote for the Democrats, and they the one putting them in here. Vote for Republicans. So what do you really do about this? What can you really do about this?
Well, more than anything else, if we as Black people make it our focus to concentrate on our economic standing, then population numbers cannot be used against you the same way. You see, everybody yells and complains about Jewish people, but Jewish people understood that they will never in any place on earth have population numbers to protect them. So what they have to have is something else. What they have is a rock solid code of conduct, and what they have is an economic agenda. And I consider it to be the height of stupidity for folks to be hating on somebody who's showing you, hey, they understood what the odds were. When they came out of World War II, they realized, I'll be damned, these people really will kill you. They really will kill us down to the very last child. They really will do it. So we better get damn serious about getting ourselves in positions of power, socioeconomic power. We better have industries that we are represented in so that they can't be used against us. Government responds to business. Government doesn't respond to individuals. Government responds to business. And with that being the case, they understood why they needed to have that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 305. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, try again. Caller from area code 305. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, the audio messing up, man. I can hear you barely, but this One Love 305 out of Miami.
All right, One Love out of Miami. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I had to hit you up, man. Excellent broadcast, man. I just want to tell everybody, welcome to New Miami. You know, you have been saying this for a long time. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. These supremacists have been running the same three plays for the longest, TBA, and you and I know it. They plan for 150 years ahead. They've been doing this for the longest. So I just got a quick question for you. When's the last time you heard any governmental position in the state of Florida that hasn't been Latino?
That's
what I mean. They've been doing this for a long time.
Other than the governor Ron DeSantis, who I've always pointed out is a faux Latino, and by that I mean by the culture of Florida. That when you take a look at the mayor of Miami. Now, the mayor of Miami, I actually respect him. I think he's done a lot of progressive things. He's made it very clear that he sees Miami being bigger than New York City as far as international, that they want Miami to be this international hub like Dubai is between the Americas, not between Europe and North America, but between South America and Canada, that they want Miami to be the predominant city of the Americas. And that's the kind of thing that I think is important to keep in mind. He's got vision. Okay, but who does he have vision for? Because I'm seeing him out there for the Puerto Ricans, for the Cubans, not so much for the black folk. And I consider he's a smart guy. Mayor Suarez is a smart guy. I've been watching him for a while. He's a smart guy. He's relatively young in politics. He's progressive. He's got a vision. He's competing for businesses from California. That's great. I think that's wonderful. And what I'm saying is that when I refer to Ron DeSantis, when I say faux Latino, that's what I mean is in the culture of what's going on in Florida. They got a different mindset about that. So he's got a lot more in common. Now, when you say, can you name somebody who's not Latino? I think your Surgeon General, your state Surgeon General, the black fella who DeSantis appointed him. And as soon as the fella starts talking, DeSantis looks so damn impatient. I'm like, dude, this is the guy you chose. And you look like, as soon as he starts talking, you look like you just want to go, all right, that's enough. All right, we already know you're a token. Get out of the way. He looks so damn impatient with a man that he chose. I'm like, man, can you at least be a little less obvious? Can you be a little less obvious?
Going against the playbook. He's going against the playbook. It's a long-view plan that they have. Look at California. Look at Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. All of them are border states. Florida is not, by land, by geography, a border state, but that's where they all come in from the Caribbean. All of those, they're bringing in Latinos, whether it's Mexican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican. This has been a long plan. So when I started by saying, TBA, that you always said if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, we sat back and watched this junk happen. So now that they're doing it in New York, don't get your eyebrows all to the top of your head now. Our inaction has allowed this to happen. That's why they're governors in all of these states. They come fresh off, excuse the expression, fresh off the boat. And like the dude from Arizona was saying, they look at them crazy, like they're above them. That's because they know they are. This has been a long, drawn-out plan. So this is a great broadcast. I'm glad you're bringing it to everybody else's attention, but it's surprising me how surprised everybody is. If they come at your neighbor house and you don't stop them at your neighbor house, you know the saying, don't be surprised when they come knocking on your door. And that's what's going on right now. Beautiful broadcast, TBA. Keep it up.
Well, you got to show folks that it really will get that bad. Most people just want to stick their heads in the sand. Once you show them that, you know what, let me step back, it really will get this bad. A decade ago, when I said that California was done for black folk, a lot of folk didn't like that. When I said that New York City is pretty much done, they didn't like that either. They didn't like it, but now here we are. And let's be very clear, black folk like to talk one way when they get on the phone with me. But black folk in New York City, man, y'all been the interracial love train for a minute. Y'all been that for a minute. So all of y'all, when you talk to me, you talk one way. When you get on the phone with me, you talk one way. But when we record you in your daily lives, it's something different.
And to your point about them trying to, his vision of, Florida as a world enclave. Yeah, that's the World Center. That's why they building the World Center down there. It's going to rival New York as the meeting place for the world powers and world infrastructures and corporations. They're building it already. So, and like you said, DeSantis, which is, what is he, Italian, pretty much?
Yes.
He's full Latino, like you said. They already have that plan worked out. And the only way is because, as Neely Fuller and Claude Anderson said, that we sit back and watch it. We sit back and watch it, and they plan for the next 150 years instead of just today and tomorrow. This has been in the works for 150 years already. So we have to stop waiting to react and be more proactive than reactive. And just take the advice TBA giving us, B1 Brigade. You can't just sit back, and you can't sit back and wait on TBA. We got to get together, do what we have to do, and it starts as an individual. So if each individual gets on their page and get on code, then that individual and the next individual becomes a people. That's all I wanted to say. B1, man. Excellent broadcast.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And you all can look it up on YouTube. They've got tremendous plans for Miami as a city of the future. They got tremendous plans for that thing. Brickell was just the beginning. They've got huge plans for Miami. Yes, literally for it to not, in some ways, rival, but in other ways to surpass New York City. They got huge plans for Miami. And what I'm telling you is those plans aren't really being formulated with black folk in mind. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Caller from area code 816, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Trey Hopkins from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, the never-ending story, Hopkins, and what's on your mind?
I was calling in because you was talking about the Jews population numbers, and I see a lot of people agreeing with you on the fact that the Jews don't have a large population, and Black Americans, our population also isn't that big in America. So my concerns is our population numbers and what's the future for Black America.
Okay. Now, Atreyu, you were told to call in, sir. Now, you know that you were not told to call in for saying something as innocuous as what you just said. So they're all cowards when we tell them call in. Why don't you say what it was that you said that was required you to have to call in?
Well, that's why I called in for.
No, sir, that is not.
I disagree with you.
That is not what you said, sir. That is not what you said.
Then what did I say?
And I know it's not what you said because I was the one who said you need to call in. I was the one who said that.
Well, I agree with most of your videos and stuff. So.
I was the one who said you need to call in, sir. Now, if I said you need to call in, then you already know what it was you said. Not a good sign when you know what you said and you won't stand by what it was. Now you got nigga amnesia. This isn't a good look, man. I'm going to give you one more try at it. What was it you said that required you to have to call in?
I said I disagree with you as far as we don't need a huge population.
Well, there you. Oh, now, isn't that radically different from what he just said? Yeah, that cowardice is shaking off of him now. Why don't you go ahead and say the rest of it?
I believe we do need a huge population to continue to thrive in America.
For everybody who doesn't know, because he's too cowardly to stand by his words, he said, "I disagree. In war, you need numbers."
Yes, I disagree with that statement.
Okay, sir, why is it that the United States invaded Iraq and Libya, but hasn't invaded North Korea?
I'm not sure. I'm sure you can tell me
Okay, no, you're not that silly. You do know why America felt emboldened enough to attack Iraq and Syria and Libya, but for some strange reason, the little country of North Korea, America doesn't want to go back. It went back into Iraq because you got larger numbers, but for some strange reason, America doesn't want to go back to North Korea and go finish that job. A lot of saber rattling, a lot of trash talking, but they don't want to go back to North Korea, even though you got the numbers to knock them off. Why is that, sir?
No, I'm not sure. I know North Korea has military power more than
so
any
does Iraq.
Middle Eastern country.
So did Iraq. So did Syria. So does Libya. So does Egypt. America knocked off all those governments. Never touched North Korea, sir. Even though you got numbers over them, just like you did over the countries in the Middle East. Oh, yeah. Now, he's already shown what he doesn't know, or at least what he claims doesn't know. North Korea doesn't have the numbers, but they do have nukes. And isn't it amazing? America doesn't invade countries that got nuclear weapons, even if those countries have much smaller populations. They only bully countries that don't have nuclear weapons.
Okay, Black Americans, we don't have any nuclear weapons. We don't have anything.
Sir, the point, no, sir, the point is when you say you need population numbers for a war, I just proved to you, no, you don't.
You need population numbers because you need war factories. You need people to build things.
Sir, if you have a strong economy in and of yourselves, you don't need numbers. Asians have proven that. Jews have proven that. You're not aware of even current circumstances. There's a reason that Asian people and Jewish people there is a reason that Asian people and Jewish people do not get harassed like black folk. Yeah, because they've got the socioeconomic numbers. We've got population numbers over them in New Orleans and several other cities, but they've got economic numbers over us. South Africa. Black folk outnumber white folk in South Africa 9-1. Who's running things in South Africa? Oh, yeah, the white folk. Black folk outnumber white folk 8-1 in Detroit. Who's running the economy and things in Detroit? The white folk.
Well, I would say it's still a numbers game. They have more people on code. Black people are obviously off code.
Okay, so, sir, you just... Okay, now you're trying to argue against reality. Sir, they're running things in Detroit. They're running things in New Orleans. They're running things in South Africa, and they are the minority. They don't need the population numbers. They disproved. I'm giving you real world examples that disprove everything you're saying.
I'm listening, man. I'm listening.
Okay, I've given you real world examples, not my conjecture, not, well, they could do it in 30, 40 years. I'm talking about what actually exists right now and has existed. Sir, when you control the economy, you can run a nation as one person. The Rockefellers showed that. The Vanderbilts showed that. Dude, this is basic history and economics. This isn't up for debate. You can be one person and have more power than everybody in your entire state.
Yeah, that one person has machines behind him. But
okay, but the point is, he doesn't have a majority of the population. It's not like the majority of the population are his kinfolk, sir. This is really getting bad here. You don't need large numbers to win a war, start a war, wage a war. Hell, the Saudis don't even have a military. Their money pays for the United States to be their military. They don't need population numbers. I'm giving you real world examples. Real world examples. So it's time for you to update your ideology. Mathematics is on line 2. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Wasn't going to sit here and roast him, having a teaching moment so that you understand these little cliches you throw around. These cliches contradict mathematics and the realities on the ground. If you have control of the economy, you don't need anything else. Everybody likes to quote Baron Rothschild, "Give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes its laws." Yeah, one man, I don't care who makes the laws. As long as I got control of the money, I don't care who makes the laws. And got Negroes trying to figure out if they can intellectualize their way around it. Doesn't work that way. Shout out here to everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here. So thank you very much for your support here. B1 Media is a lifesaver, and everybody else, thank you very much for contributing to tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. This is Don calling from Harlem.
Don from Harlem, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Jason? A pleasure to speak with you. I'm just calling in because I'm listening to the broadcast, and I work here in the city from Harlem. I work in workforce development, and a lot of what you're saying is absolutely true. Not a lot, all of it. It's just spot on. Right now they got this big shelter that they put out on Randall Island. It's got TVs. It's got it's state of the art for illegals who are coming into the city. But right across is an old dilapidated shelter where the black people are.
Yeah.
And, there are these companies that I work with as well. Because I work with lots of companies. I'm not going to name the companies. But, they'll say, we want Spanish-speaking people only for these jobs. And that's just code speak for not black. We had an opportunity where it was paying $40 an hour for a case manager. Now, typically, case manager just got his degree, coming out of college, makes about $20 an hour. And this organization was paying $40 an hour, but they only wanted Spanish-speaking people. So that always eliminates black people, essentially.
Well, for folks who are not from New York and don't know the get down, these so-called Afro-Latinos of New York, that's a damn joke. There's a reason why people like me and Tariq have always made no distinction. But we always said that the race is what matters, because Afro-Latinos are constantly getting checked by the white ones, particularly on that language front. If you're an Afro-Latino in New York City, this is why it's so crazy for them to be acting like they got some camaraderie with the white Latinos. The white Latinos check the Afro-Latinos left and right. Who are you? How do you know how to speak Spanish? They critique their Spanish, whether or not it's quote unquote good enough. That's a common thing in New York City. The white Latinos are always checking the Afro-Latinos, always questioning them, always scrutinizing them. That's a common thing. That's a common thing. Any of y'all who got any Afro-Latinos friends up or family up there in New York City, they can tell you that all the time. When they go to the bodega, when they go to the grocery store, they do that all the time. All the time. That's a common feature. If you Afro-Latino, you're constantly getting checked by the white Latinos. And yet, through their behavior, you wouldn't know when we show up, you wouldn't know any difference. You wouldn't know any difference. Now, another thing here, brother.
That's absolutely true.
Another thing here is about what I was saying here before, the idea that for a long time here, because let me find out here, how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay. For a long time here, especially in the last 20 years, in a lot of these professions and whatnot, one of the reasons why they prefer, and I want to come back to that homeless tent here in a moment, but a lot of the reason why they prefer these immigrants and whatnot is because it makes it a whole lot easier to play grab ass up in there. It makes it a whole lot easier. That's a thing.
Yes. I've had companies straight up tell us when they're looking for employees or candidates. We have people say, we want them pretty. We want them Spanish speaking. That stuff you're talking about doctors and these companies, like they will straight up tell us that they want attractive employees. Now, is that against the law? Yeah, it's against the law. The companies will say, okay, I want people that are, this height. They can't be shorter than this height. And you can't ask people those types of questions. And it's, you're spot on with a lot of the stuff that you're saying. With all of it, and even with a lot of these companies, I've had black people come back to me saying, hey, listen, I can't work there. All the Hispanics are getting together. They're being very hostile towards me. That especially down in Staten Island, and all these places where they're building a lot more warehouse industries in Queens and Staten Island. They're hiring lots and lots of illegals, and they're bringing, and black people aren't getting these jobs. But then when black people do get the job, they're one of the very few on the job, and then they can't compete.
Now, about this homeless tent, for those of you who don't know, but most of y'all do know because I covered it here on my channel as well. So they've erected this thing. They want to make all the illegals that Texas and Florida and Arizona are sending up there. And by the way, they only sent just a few thousand, like 10,000. They only sent a few thousand, and they're already declaring an emergency. Anybody who's been to El Paso, Texas knows the illegals have overrun the whole damn city of El Paso. They've overrun the whole damn thing. Last time when I was in El Paso, Texas, I was literally the only non-Mexican you saw walking around. Let me tell you, I got out my truck. I didn't even get away from it. I had a slight panic attack when my credit card didn't work at the pump. I'm like, Lord, I got to walk all the way from here up into this racetrack store. I'm like, anything can happen. I'm surrounded. Anything can happen. Everybody's talking Spanish. Everybody looks like they came out of a Cheech Marin movie. And I'm like, I'm by myself. Usually you be in the city somewhere, usually we got some backup somewhere, it'll be another black person wander by or something. Not in El Paso. Not in El Paso. I'm talking about on a busy street right off of Interstate 10. So I'm going up in the store. I'm trying to look, as alpha as I can. I'm like, okay, I'm scoping it out. I'm doing the calculations. All right, if I got to take out little Chico over here, swing to the right, kick backwards like Bruce Lee on the other fella behind me here, jump over the counter, smash this person over the head. I'm trying to work out all the calculations about what I would need to do in case something happens. So got up in there, told him, okay, I want to fill up on pump 6, swipe the thing and everything. And now I'm like, okay, I go out to the truck, filled up the truck. I'm like, damn, now I got to go back inside. So that's what it was like the last time I went to El Paso, Texas. Dude, it's a wrap. El Paso is just Mexico North. It's Juarez North. Now, not 20 years from now, right this moment. It's already through. So for the future generations, I can't tell them to do nothing in El Paso. I'm talking about even when I went to the hotel. I'll go ahead and say it. When I was at the Marriott out there by the airport, they got the big ass statue of the man on the horse at El Paso Airport. Dude, I was the only non-Mexican in the building. I'm the only non-Mexican in the whole building, whole damn thing. just little old me. Damn. And then they put me, now I got an executive suite, but they put me on the far side of the building, so I had to walk past everybody. So I'm getting the whole damn grand tour, and I'm like, man, look here, first thing in the morning. Now, nobody was rude to me. Nobody was mean to me. Nobody did anything to me necessarily. But like when the girl at the front desk busts out in Spanish first, I'm like, okay, ma'am, I don't know if you think I'm one of them people. I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana, not Port-au-Prince or whatever. I'm not. No, I'm from Louisiana, right? I'm across the state border, not the nation border. I'm across that one. So, like I say, other than that, I didn't have any serious issues like that, but they let it be known. We run the yard. Folks were coming in the front door, and when they walked to the girl at the front desk, it's not, they just immediately bust out into Spanish. That was something weird for me 20 years ago when I saw that when I was working for these telecommunication companies. And dealing with customers out of Florida and customers out of New Jersey and things like that. That was weird to me then. There's somebody you get on the phone and just bust out to me in Spanish. I'm like, hey, don't you know you need to press 2? You didn't press 2 to get to me. Now, when they walk up in these places, bro, they know. They just bust out in Spanish first. You got to stop them from that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't traveled as much as you. I've definitely traveled, all over. I mean, the Northeast. I mean, I've been around the world. But I mean, in terms of the U.S., you go upstate. And I've seen these Asian enclaves upstate, seen Jewish enclaves upstate. Whenever you go into their towns, you feel like you don't even feel like you're in America in a lot of these places. So I definitely know what you're talking about.
About the tent. Now I want y'all to understand, do you realize how quickly they erected a fully furnished place there? You realize how quickly they found the money and the funds? Every time we show up, they tell us ain't no money, ain't no funds, can't get it done, there's nothing left. Well, we got to find some money. Them people showed up, bro. They had money already on deck. Oh, don't worry. We'll get some extra money out of this fund over here and that fund over there. You and me show up. They pull out their pockets and start pleading poverty. All of a sudden, we can't get nothing done. We don't have 3 pennies to spare. For these folk, for the Ukrainians, for the Afghans, the money shows up immediately. Don't let nobody run game on y'all.
And another thing that a lot of people outside of New York may not understand is that a lot of New York City shelters are hotels. So the city, they're giving, hundreds of millions of dollars to organizations, these nonprofit organizations who operate these shelters. And so right now they're getting, I'm saying, hundreds of millions of dollars to take over these hotels and house all of the immigrants that are getting bussed up here. And so, in these shelters, they have case managers. They have people to help them find work. They help them get vouchers. So Section 8 or whatever type of housing voucher they need. They help them get set up with Medicaid, with food stamps. They come in and they immediately are taken care of. Meanwhile, you go to the older shelters and full of Black people. And it's, and I'm speaking and I see people, I homeless Black people, Black veterans, I speak with these people, regularly and they don't understand how we're, just still at the back of the line. They're waiting on these people hand and foot. You got the mayor meeting these people at the bus stop. He's at the bus stop greeting all these people and getting them set up with every single thing that they need to get a head start and to pass Black people.
Well, like I said, I covered this weeks ago when it first started happening. New York Post reported that New York is going to spend $300 million a year to house illegal aliens in hotels in New York. Man, that's a profit margin. That's a profit margin for these major corporations that own these hotels. They ain't never lost a dime. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 202. You're on Live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Isaiah calling from D.C.
Zero from DC, what's on your
Speaking
mind?
of that, yeah, they already in D.C. making 30 and more dollars an hour in these construction jobs. D.C. is going through a massive redevelopment, especially in the northeast area called Noma, north of Massachusetts Avenue. And it's cranes everywhere, apartment buildings. D.C. is looking more and more like New York. And 90% of the people on these construction jobs are Spanish people. And people thinking they're not making any money. I'm going out there talking to the guys. Average of them making $30, $35 an hour now as we speaking. In addition to that now, the women are on the job by a program that the D.C. government has, where actually the women are on the job with the men now working in construction, which is something new. And they also have the blacks. They get the blacks working on construction, but they go to the day laborer place and get them. So they're barely making $15 an hour. So and even on the D.C. public transportation in the city, all around the D.C., when they have these public announcements, all of them are Spanish on the bus. If you're riding these different buses going throughout the city, they have all these announcements and stuff. Most of them are Spanish. Some of them not even in English. And also in the D.C., they're trying to get rid of the Marion Barry program, which is called TOPA, which is the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Assistance, which the tenants in buildings in D.C., that if the landlord is selling the building, the tenants must be offered the first opportunity to buy the building. So they're trying to get rid of this program that Marion Barry enacted in 1980. City Council tried to get it years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, but they voted it down. Now they're trying to bring it back up because now they got to give us, like, if we've been there for 20 years, 35, 25 years, these people got to bank out $50,000 for us. Because I used to stay in an old building, they had me moving, somebody purchased it, they had to give me $50,000 to move. And now they don't want to do that anymore.
That's the thing right there I want folks to think about. As black men, we have been particularly sensitive to that kind of thing now over the last 25, 30 years. Like I say, I remember when I was in high school and we had construction jobs, and that was one of the things that, you know, as young black men we wanted, because you go by the construction sites and you would see black men working there, and they all had nice Chevy pickup trucks with the flare side on it and everything. And we were like, yeah, get your construction job and you can go ahead and do that. So you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to get a degree or anything like that. But then they start bringing in the illegals, specifically for the purposes of freezing us out. And what you're describing is exactly what I've talked about over the years. Now, the illegals are supposed to be the migrants. They're supposed to be the ones who, at best, are patching together holes and, you know, for whatever work you don't have. So the illegals should be the ones at the temp agencies and just getting by however they get by. And the black men are supposed to be the ones who are the regular workers. Now they got it flipped. The illegals are the regular workers and the black men are the migrants who just get in where they fit in. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 434. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, sir. This is KB out of Charlottesville.
KB out of Charlottesville. What's on your mind?
So I just wanted to talk for a second about the Black and Brown Coalition. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a guy named Rashad Ritchie. He has a radio show with TYT, and he's a local host in Atlanta, right? I've been listening to him for years, and one of the things that irritates the heck out of me is that when he talks about a lot of like Democratic talking points, he won't be honest about it. And a lot of black people in media are doing that. Like you know, we're rolling. I said, what is the thing that we as black people get from the Black and Brown Coalition? Name me one thing. He sent me to a website that's basically just a bunch of opinion pieces on the Black and Brown Coalition.
Right. I mean,
and
that's
talk pieces. Like,
look, you got to understand, Roland Martin is one among many. That's the thing I want you all to understand. They've had their hooks in your so-called radio stations. They've had their hooks in them now for decades. They've had their hooks in them for decades through the pastors and through the schools. So the radio stations that are mobbed up with HBCUs, they got their hooks in through them. And the radio stations that are mobbed up with the clergy, they got their hooks through them. But all your local DJs, your so-called local DJs, they've all got somebody from the NAACP and the Democratic National Convention who got them on speed dial. Because these folks know. They know that this is the person to talk to. Any radio station that specifically speaks to a black audience that has any type of reach, they got their hooks in whoever your favorite DJ is there. They have their hooks in him already because he's the mouthpiece.
And you know what? What you're saying is making sense because when you talk to him and learn his story, he does the whole I was in foster care, I was an alcoholic, and God saved me. But in reality, he was also the head of the Democratic Party in Georgia. So it wasn't God who saved him. It was those politicians he was helping.
Well,
you know what I mean?
As far as he's concerned, that's close enough to be God right there. He'll take it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, let me get caller America 914. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jeremy. I'm from Yonkers, New York.
Jeremy from Yonkers. What's on your mind?
I was told to call in.
Yes, sir.
Of a comment I made.
Then you already know why you were told to call in, sir. What were you told to call in for?
I said, I know the running joke is a lot of immigrants do like Uber Eats, but there's black people that do that too.
Sir, that's as silly.
I know a lot of black people.
Sir, that is as silly as saying, well, yeah, there's a lot of white nationalists who joined Richard Spencer, but there's some black folk there too. What's your point?
That if they're fighting to get $30 an hour, if you're saying that it only helps immigrants, that's cool. But again,
okay, sir, when did I say the words, it only helps immigrants? When did I say that? And first of all, I didn't say immigrants, I said illegals. When did I say it only helps illegals? When did I say that, sir?
I can't say that you said that.
But you literally just said that I did. So, what's the deal?
I'm basing that off of the picture I seen on the screen where it said, well, the picture I seen on the screen and the conversation that's being had.
Okay, sir, you're giving off some tether energy here. To go this, to be this erroneous, you giving off a lot of energy here, sir. The energy is thick right now. It's thick right now. I'm just letting you know it's thick. It's thick.
I'm not a tether.
In any case, I did not say, sir.
I'm not an immigrant.
Okay, well, you're not doing a very good job convincing us, but okay, sir. The bottom line is, I didn't say all of them, but it doesn't need to be all of them. So your argument is already invalid. It doesn't need to be all, sir. I'm showing a picture of Los Deliveritas Unidos, and it's nothing but Latins up there. Nothing.
Okay. I mean, again, I still think if people are going to get a pay boost, $30 an hour to drive Uber Eats, I don't see the problem. I mean, what's the issue?
Okay, sir. The issue is, are they contributing to the economy equivalent to $30 an hour?
But again, I said.
Okay, second time. Is their contribution to the economy worth $30 an hour?
I don't know.
Okay, then sir, if you don't know, then you cannot dispute anything. If you don't know the difference between a registered nurse making $30 an hour and a Uber bicyclist making $30 an hour, if you think those two are equivalent, then you've got bigger mental and emotional issues than I can help you deal with.
I mean, a Uber Eats driver gets taxed the same way a registered nurse would get taxed.
Okay, but a registered nurse is far more valuable than a Uber bicyclist.
Say that again?
A registered nurse has gone to school. She gets $30 or $40 an hour because she is more valuable.
Who's to say that they're more valued? In the pandemic, people who drove Uber Eats were considered essential workers alongside nurses. So,
sir,
I don't know.
Anybody who thinks that somebody for Uber Eats is an essential worker, I don't know why someone would tell you that. All I will say is that when people went to the hospital, they were looking for doctors and nurses. When folk talked about travel nurses, nobody talked about travel Grubhub.
I hear you.
Okay, nobody talked about travel Uber Eats, sir. And if you're in your city, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but in your city, if it's New York City, maybe they said it about them in New York. They didn't say that anywhere else. I don't know why anybody would say something so crazy. Now, for delivery people like FedEx, yes. For grocery stores, yes. Grubhub and Uber Eats. Now, that's something that common sense would call you to question. That's not even something you have to think about. Common sense tells you, no, not this, no.
Well, I mean, in New York, Grubhub and Uber Eats, they're kind of two different things because Uber Eats, you're kind of private, where you're working on your own. Grubhub, 9 times out of 10, it's a restaurant, and they got delivery workers, and they're just putting their menu online. It's another way for them to get online customers.
Okay, sir, but the thing is, what you have are a group of illegals and illegal sympathizers who are saying, let's leapfrog the natural structure, let's leapfrog minimum wage. What they're doing is an unskilled minimum wage labor. That's what they're doing, sir.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, it's not get what you're saying. Do you understand what minimum wage means, sir? Do you understand what minimum wage means and why? Do you understand why it's there? Apparently you're not clear on why it's there. It is there for unskilled laborers. The reason why the pay is lower is because you can replace, if all they have to know how to do is ride a bicycle and follow instructions on a map, you can replace them in 5 minutes. You can't replace a nurse, a paralegal, a doctor, a carpenter. You can't replace them in 5 minutes. That's why they get much more than minimum wage. Well, apparently you didn't know that.
Is that I work in trades, and you just said carpenter. Carpenters get replaced all the time. All of that trade stuff,
carpenters can only...
They can be replaced.
No, okay, sir, I didn't say that they cannot be replaced. You can't replace them in 5 minutes. We have a national shortage of... Don't even try this lie, fella. We have a national shortage in the skilled trades right now. We've had one now for over a decade. We have a shortage of carpenters, a shortage of welders, a shortage of pipe trades. We have a shortage of car mechanics. No, sir, you can't replace him in 5 minutes.
I can't say that. I'm in that field.
You can't replace them in 5 minutes.
There are plenty of HVAC workers, man.
Sir, there's a difference between plenty of HVAC workers and whether or not you can replace a skilled one. So, no, sir. No, you cannot. And you certainly cannot replace an HVAC technician as easily as you can replace a cyclist for Grubhub, sir. Are you literally on this phone trying to make the argument that that is as easy to be a cyclist for Grubhub as it is to be an HVAC technician?
No, I'm not. That's not what.
Okay, then stop talking. Then stop talking silly. You cannot replace an HVAC technician as easily as you can somebody who rides a bicycle for Grubhub. This sounds silly. This sounds very silly. This is a stubborn person trying to dispute reality. You can't replace carpenters, welders, pipe fitters, HVAC techs, you can't replace them in 5 minutes. You can go find some jackleg who swears he knows how to work on these things, and then you take your damn chances. But somebody who is skilled in trade and has their licenses and is bonded, no, sir, those are not common. Not nearly as common as somebody riding a bicycle for Uber. No, sir, you can't. You talking about grabbing somebody in front of Home Depot and hoping that Pedro doesn't burn your house down. I'm talking about somebody who's actually got all the qualifications that they're supposed to have and has the body of work to prove their competence. No, sir, you cannot replace them in 5 minutes. You ain't been nowhere where that happens. Not even in New York City, and I have been on construction sites in New York City. I've got one that's actually in my last film, Race War, which was behind the Trump Soho building. They were working on that one. American flag on one side, Mexican flag on the other. No, sir, you cannot replace them. What you're talking about is you have a general contractor with some competence, and you got a few illegals doing some of the heavy lifting manual labor, carrying around cement bags, but your electricians, you can't replace those easily. No, you can't. And you don't want an electrician who doesn't have all of his credentials wiring up your skyscraper. That would be suicide.
Well, the credentials for being an electrician is 7 years in the field. So
yes, sir, and that's why he gets more, and that's why he doesn't get minimum wage, sir.
Who's it? Oh, I'm getting.
And that's why he doesn't get. That's why he shouldn't be getting $30 an hour. But if he does, that's why he gets that compared to somebody who rides a bicycle. Let me find out here. Okay, let me find out here. How long have you lived in New York City?
All my life.
Okay, how old are you?
32 years.
32 years.
32.
Good God. Are your people originally from New York?
Yes, my father is from New York and my mother is from New York. My father was born in Chicago. He lived in Alabama, Lafayette, Alabama. I got family in Alabama. I'm not a tether, bro. I'm not an immigrant.
I didn't ask you that, but you're getting real defensive of something you weren't even asked.
No, but
that's not a good sign.
You said it earlier.
That is not a good. That's not a good.
I'm not an immigrant, bro.
That's not a good sign. No, I didn't say it on this phone call, sir. Me thinks you doth protest too much. Me thinks you doth protest too much. I'm not saying anything right now. I didn't say anything right now, sir. I just asked a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, you say you lived in New York City for 32 years. How familiar are you with...
No.
You've been in New York for 30...
I'm not from New York City.
Okay.
I'm not from New York City. I'm from Westchester County. I'm from Yonkers. I'm not from New York City. Yonkers is in New York City.
He's from upstate.
No, it's downstate. It's downstate. Buffalo is upstate. I live 10 minutes outside of the Bronx.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
All my life. 32 years.
So you've lived in Westchester.
I lived in Philly. I lived in Philly when I was younger, and I lived in King of Prussia when I was younger, but that was like 3 years maybe between both of those places. I lived in North Philly when I was young, like 2 years old.
Okay, but you spent the majority you spent all of your formative years in Westchester in the New York area.
Correct.
Okay, and how familiar are you with it?
How familiar am I with Westchester County?
Yes.
Very familiar. I mean, listen, we're talking about construction. We're talking about immigrants. Westchester County at one point was the second richest county in the United States behind Beverly Hills. It's nothing but immigrants out here with construction companies, landscaping companies. They the El Salvadorians, Colombians, Ecuadorians, Mexicans. I'm not gonna say they run things out here, but they got the numbers. So if you're talking about construction work, landscaping, the Uber Eats, if you want to say that, but even though I don't really see Mexicans doing Uber Eats, a lot of the times they're doing a lot of like landscaping, they're blowing leaves, they're doing the construction, they're on the side of the road when the pothole, they're fixing the potholes out here, stuff like that. They own businesses, restaurants, like bars and stuff.
Okay. And are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I'm single.
Do you have any roots?
I don't have a girlfriend.
Do you have any roots with anybody up there other than yourself?
Yeah. My entire family.
Okay, but I mean, how familiar are you with for example, with the Latin elements up there? How familiar are you? Because so far, because of your, I don't know, because of your previous statement and everything about your previous statement about Westchester makes me feel like this guy's not very familiar with very much up there. Yeah, he's not very. He's not familiar. He's not very familiar with very much up there. He's not very familiar.
Now, I'm familiar with Westchester County. AOC is from Westchester County.
Okay.
She talks about she's from the Bronx. She graduated high school in Dobbs Ferry, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems like we might be having a different type of issue as far as what's north and what's south. I might have to sit you down and show you what that is. What I will tell you is, based on what you're saying here, you're really young, and it sounds like you're one of these dudes who gets around in New York, and you've probably been chasing a lot of interracial sexual access. So the way in which you're talking about things is really from this.
I love black women. I don't like Spanish girls, man.
Sir, if that were the case, you wouldn't be giving off some of these statements that you're giving. What I will say is, and I certainly wouldn't expect you to own up to it. What I will tell you here is, for anybody who's got a map, you can check out what upstate New York is, and you can figure out where the Bronx is, and then where Westchester County is. You can kind of take a look at those for yourself. Be that as it may.
But I'm from Yonkers.
Be that as it may. Be that as it may. I am not very.
Is it upstate?
Sir,
be that about a map.
Sir.
Upstate is Buffalo, Syracuse, Schenectady.
Sir, I'm not gonna yell over you, sir. You know what you said.
Okay.
All right, sir. I'm not gonna yell over you. You know what you said. I might want to introduce you to a map.
My bad.
You can go.
I thought you couldn't
you
hear
can go replay his comments. I'm not gonna stay on that all night. My point is, sir, if you're, as far as the trades are concerned, as far as the community is concerned, you're very, very dismissive about that, and usually that dismissiveness is powered by something else. And usually that dismissiveness is powered by, well, what's the big deal? What's the problem with it? Even when it's been explained to you what the problem is. You're going to have a bunch of entry-level folk who are walking in the door who are going to be given leapfrog position over everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really think that. I mean, a lot of these Mexicans, man, they're skilled, man. They come over here, they know what they're doing. They come over here, they buy houses, they build the house up with 10, 20 of their family members living inside. They build up the house, then they move everybody out and they resell it, and then they do the same thing over and over again. It's big houses out here in Westchester County.
Okay, but the issue is that black folk, sir, okay. The issue is that black folk have not been brought into New York City and given $30, $40 an hour over the last 30 years so that they can build a middle class and an economic base for themselves. Black folk have not been given that.
You're tying in the Uber Eats thing with the trades thing again.
No, sir. No, I'm not. No, sir. I'm not tying that in. I am saying that, okay, sir, I'm not tying those in. I'm saying that these folk just showed up, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're able to demand trying to demand $30 an hour. This was never even offered to black people. What this will do, because for those of you who are too young to understand how this works, what they do is when you see a large group of white Latinos, they're letting you know we're going to build up something here. When is the last time you saw something that was dominated by white Latinos and they allow black folk into it? When's the last time you saw that?
You and I both know black people, we move on a different type of wavelength.
Okay, sir. Second time, sir. When was the last time you saw a large group of white Latinos who were in charge of something and black folk were ever let in?
Never. It doesn't happen.
Thank you. And that's my point. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter whether it's hotels or whatever. Black folk wind up in the positions that we're in because we get forced into those things. So before you try to say, well, it's not a lot of black folk who would do that kind of work, this is the same thing they say all the damn.
That's how I feel.
And you're wrong. You're naive, incorrect on more than one thing, and wrong.
So where does the running talk about immigrants?
Sir,
okay, when I listen to
pay attention. Sir, pay attention. I'm going to educate you. Sir, what I'm going to do is tell you be quiet. Sir, I'm going to tell you to be quiet. You're spouting complete pure ignorance. Just be quiet so you can actually learn something. Because you're a fountainhead of ignorance. Our brother Marcel Dixon has already talked about chicken plants where when they shut them in Mississippi and other states, because it wasn't just one, when they claimed that they didn't have enough black workers, and when they got rid of when they brought in ICE and got rid of the Latinos, all of a sudden they found they had enough people that they had to work there and they were black. We've been talking about this before.
Here's my problem.
Sir, okay, I'm going to mute you if you start that again. You're not that drunk. You're not that drunk, high, or silly. Get a hold of yourself. This is a lie that gets circulated and recirculated all the time. The white politicians do it. The news people do it. They know what they're doing. I was a high schooler listening to people talk about when we wanted to get jobs in construction. When it was time for me to get one, I was only out there for a couple of years. Next thing you know, they're on the radio talking about we can't get anybody to work construction. That's why we hired the illegals. No, I was there. I watched them not hire us. I watched them bringing in the illegals and say, yeah, we got enough people. I watched it happen in my early 20s. It was part of the catalyst that led me to stick with being self-employed. If that was part of the catalyst, I watched them tell this lie decade after decade. When you take a look at how many black folk are disenfranchised, mass incarcerated, strung out on drugs because they bring them into the neighborhood, setting up here in areas and pockets of economic deprivation. Yeah, they sit up here and deprive you of resources and then tell you that you didn't want to do it anyway. And now you got a black male on the phone regurgitating the exact same talking points when there's no truth behind it. None. This is something that was engineered and you're just repeating what they said. Not because it's true, but because you heard it. Not because it's real, but because you heard it. And because you want to believe it. Now, maybe you don't, sir, I'm sorry. Check yourself. Yeah. Maybe you don't want to work for Grubhub. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are not interested in that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are not interested in working at the Tyson Foods plant. Maybe you aren't. But you don't speak for everybody else. You're probably also not interested in doing welding or plumbing. You're probably not interested in that too. I host another program on another YouTube channel where I've got, sir, I've got another YouTube channel where I talk to young black men who are interested in the trades, who are interested in hand skills. I have another program where I host where they do that. So you don't represent the general population. You're representing your own mindset, and that's it. That is it. But reality is against you. The numbers are against you. Case study is against you. Incidents are against you. If the Latinos, if the illegals disappeared tomorrow, the only thing that would happen is you have a 50% unemployment rate among black teenagers. Every time I go to Atlanta, Georgia, there's black teenagers in the middle of the street trying to sell damn me water. You know why? Because black teenagers cannot get a job in Atlanta. At least not enough of them. Now, you don't need to bring in illegals for that. You got your workforce sitting out here in the damn street handing out water and trying to steal catalytic converters. Now, that's not natural selection. That's engineered. And according to you, they would rather be standing in the middle of traffic trying to sell water than they would riding for Grubhub or something. They already know their city well enough. Well, Jason, why is it they wouldn't do that? I'll tell you why. I just bought a new bicycle last year. The damn thing cost me $800. And it was one of the cheaper ones. The one I bought was one of the cheaper ones, and it was $800 for a bicycle. It ain't fancy. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. It's made for off-roading, don't get me wrong. But it's not some super duper, it's not some motorized bicycle. It doesn't have the battery thing on it. Cost me $800. So you put that with a black kid somewhere, he's got to get the $800 first before he can get started. The illegals will go rip somebody's bike off or something. Or the white folk will give them one. So what I'm saying is when you start thinking about this, you realize that this is all really engineered. It really, really is. It's insane that a bicycle would cost $800. That's insane. And I can easily afford it. And I'm telling you, that's crazy. But someone listening to you would think, well, they don't want to do that. Hell, they can't even think about it when they're sitting up here trying to sell water for $1. Malcolm X was right. They break your legs and they call you a cripple. They break your wings and then accuse you of not being able to fly. And then you get on my phone saying, well, I think there's truth to that right there. This is our help.
I'm just saying, man. At some point, we got to start holding each other accountable. And you
we
brought
is
up
our
Atlanta,
own worst enemies.
You brought up South Carolina and Marcel Dixon. We're talking about New York City. And black people in New York City, it's different out here, man. People got hustle, they got grind. So if you want to get money, you're gonna go out and get it. And if your way of going out and getting it is driving for Uber Eats, by all means do that. And if they're paying $30 an hour, I salute you, brother. I will not look down on your job. I'm not going to say that that's something that I want to do. But at the end of the day, if that's what people want to do for $30 an hour, by all means, man, go ahead and do it. I can't down the $30 an hour. That's all I had to say, Jason. I appreciate you taking my call.
If black folk want to know why they are powerless in New York City and New York State, Exhibit A. Thank you very much for your call, but not really. If y'all want to know why you're powerless in New York City and New York State, Exhibit A. Exhibit A. Just thought I'd point that out. No, I do not believe for a moment that he deals with black women. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that. You can tell from the way he's talking. It's like you can tell from the areas he claims he lives in. You can tell from the areas that he claims he lives in that he don't deal with black people like that. by the way, Westchester, Yonkers, you can tell from the places he claims he frequents. He don't deal with black folk like that. You can tell that just right there. But so no, I'm not gonna go for that one. Let me get caller from area code 919. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Chris, calling from Brownsville.
Chris from Brownsville. Where,
everything
sir?
you're saying is everything you're saying is spot on and accurate.
Okay, let's try this one more time, sir. Where are you calling from?
Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Okay, Brownsville, Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Everything you're saying is spot on and accurate, especially more or less with this illegals demanding $30 an hour. It's not going to happen. Now, going back to what you were saying, working in the healthcare field, you said call in to sound off. I'm sounding off. Normally, I work 3 days out of the week from 7 in the morning to 11 p.m. I'm the guy that's basically in the corner of the room monitoring your cortical signals, making sure that the surgeon doesn't basically cut a spinal nerve or artery. And when he sews your ass up, you don't bleed out or your ass isn't paralyzed and you can't walk no more. I'm that dude. That being said, everything you're saying is actually right about the grab acid and everything else. Working for the number 2 spinal surgeon on the East Coast as it stands now, basically, he's working on his 3rd wife now and whatnot, having a whole bunch of issues. But when I say basically the money is there, the money is there. The sad reality is most black people don't even understand when you come into that OR or whenever you're basically dealing with the doctor such as myself or another doctor, just because they smile in your face doesn't necessarily mean they give a damn about you. I have to deal with sisters who come up in there, think that because the white doctor smiles at them that it's all good, and they'll literally leave the sister intubated on the table, ass out, titties out, the whole 9 yards, and I come in there and I have to actually cover her up. So it gets really sad and redundant when you see it, and then you basically think about the mental, more or less, dysfunction that they got going on with the fact that they think just because somebody smiles at them that they actually like them, when in reality, all they're doing is just getting the insurance money so that they can get paid. What I work with principally is basically Filipinos and also West Indians in my subset, because I have basically privileges at multiple hospitals, which I will not name. That being said and whatnot, the situation is that it's very few FBAs that's up in there. The Latinos that they're bringing in are highly lazy. I have to basically go into rooms that I actually more or less, because we flip rooms whenever I have multiple patients. So I'm seeing anywhere from about 5 to 8 patients from that 7 to 11. And the sad thing about it and whatnot is that at the end of the day, the rooms are supposed to be clean. Sometimes you got bone fragments lying on the floor because they just sweep it up. Sometimes there'll be dirty stuff and you'll call them on it or whatever, and then they'll basically get an attitude. But I guess me being with my big burly ass and whatnot, about 6'2", I don't really have that much pushback. But the issue that basically more or less that I more or less have been seeing is that you're absolutely right, more and more. And you're right, get your damn weight up, get your money up. All of these people that's claiming to be New York and saying, I got to get out of the city, your ass is soft. Number one, if you basically can't make it, say that and bounce. Now, those of us that are still here at the end of the damn day, we're still grinding and we're still trying to fight the fine fight. I don't know what the sister was talking about there's some politicians who are literally looking out for FBAs. That's straight bullshit. It's not happening. Okay? The sad reality is, you're right, there's nobody for us but us, and there should be a consortium of young black men and women who are interested in the trades. But what we need to do is literally have these trade people to speak to each other in
90 seconds
so that they can come to some damn type of consortium and they can bounce around just like what the damn Latinos are doing. The thing that's really frustrating is that being almost like a unicorn in this damn field, you have to fight for what it is that you know. And you have to basically stand on your shit 10 toes down every day.
Well, thank you for giving your report on that, because here's my thing about it. When I'm just going to say it straight out, there's more than one way to skin a donkey. Seconds. There's more than one way to skin a donkey. And a lot of black folk just been walking around their own little circles and really not taking into account how the game is being played. We ain't playing by the same rules. you're black, you're going to medical school, you're going to nursing school or whatever, your first instinct is not to do something strange for some change to get a job. That's not your first instinct. And what I'm telling you is you're looking at the legacy now. Man, there ain't no rules over there. I'm just going to say it like it is. There's no rules over there. It's get it however you get it. If they get shipped up here and whatnot, they going to do whatever they got to do. They got a goal. They got a mission. They got a point of economic status that they're trying to get to. And I'm just telling you, that's why I was pointing out for the hospitals in particular. I'm like, you have a very large medical system in New York City. Very, very large medical system, even in comparison to other cities. It's very large. It's very expensive, very prestigious, whole 9 yards. That's great and everything. But by the same token, the rules of what's going on. And then they got some of them up there who are nurses. And then you got others who are there sitting up here putting together something so they can support the others who are coming in. So the $30, what I'm saying is that the $30 an hour or $35 or $38 or $40 an hour that a black female nurse is getting in New York City, she's not doing, her Latina counterparts are not doing the same thing. They're not doing the same thing. They doing some of the same thing. But the environment that you're in, the way in which you'll be treated, what's expected of you, and what they're willing to do. Because like I say, I mean, I try to keep things clean here myself. My callers can say whatever they want to. But I'm just saying, I know what goes on at these hospitals, at these clinics. I know what goes on at these homeless shelters. I know what's going on with these illegal alien females. So no wonder they're yelling about $30 an hour here. I know what's going on. And what I'm saying is that if push comes to shove, they start getting $30 an hour. I'm just saying, if that happens, are you going to suddenly have your nurses getting $20 more? If they do, I don't think it's going to be the black ones getting it. It's going to be the normal system of triage we see here. So what I'm saying is they got the ability to get booed up. They got the ability, they're willing to do things that the black nurses, are male or female, by the way, are not willing to do or shouldn't have to do. And now you got a whole mob of them. They're surrounding you. What I'm saying is this is the system now. This is the system. The doctors don't have your back. They don't have yours. They rather have the, I'm literally saying what I'm saying. Everybody is like, hey, look, these folks are coming up here. They're talking about labor. And I'm telling y'all, there's a whole lot more than, quote, labor going on. Everybody talks about the Asians with their massage parlors. I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of that ready on deck going on in your medical industry. And now looks like going to be in your delivery industry.
Facts.
Welcome to the jungle. We have fun and games. Thank you very much for checking in with us here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 215. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? I think. No, it's messing up on me here. Okay. The switchboard for Blog Talk has been janky tonight. It has been janky tonight, so I have not been appreciating that. I'm going to have to go ahead and wrap things up here for the telephone calls. But I appreciate you all checking in on it. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Folks, I've been predicting this for a while. I've been telling you about this for a while. I've been saying it for a while. And there is on deck. It's on deck. I'm telling y'all right now, everything has been set in place. You kind of say it as a joke before, but it's not really a joke, man. This is reality. This is what's happening. This is what they're really doing. This is really reality, and this is what's really happening. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but here's the real issue. The real issue is they're letting you know what their agenda is. They're letting you know this is the agenda. You notice the illegals ain't talking about legalizing weed. They're not talking about abortion. Did you get that? I want to make sure you understand this part. The illegals ain't talking about legalizing weed and abortion. Everything they talking about, cash revolves everything around me. Cash rules everything around me. Everything they talk about is about the money. Everything they talk about is tangibles. And everything they talk about is preferential treatment. They talking about money, they're talking about tangibles, and they're talking about preferential treatment. And they're not even supposed to be standing on the soil. And that's the agenda. You can play with it if you want to. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I'd like to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat. I see you. Thank you very much for your support here. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Go ahead and click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD and on Amazon. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us here tonight. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.